You can understand English, but you cannot speak fluently. Do you relate? Well, let me tell you, you are not the only one. This is actually a very common challenge many language learners face, to speak fluently. But why? Why is it so difficult? The myth of passive fluency. Many language learners fall into the trap of passive fluency, where comprehension is more developed than speaking abilities. One of the reasons for this is that traditional language education often focuses more on reading and listening rather than active speaking and writing. This imbalance abstracts our ability to communicate effectively. The importance of speaking. We need to prioritize speaking. It's not enough to just absorb information passively. We have to actively engage in speaking and writing to enforce what you have learned. And I'm not saying absorbing information is a bad thing. Actually, it's very good. You should not stop doing that. You should not only absorb information. The ideal would be to have 30% input and 70% output, which means 30% learning, absorbing information, reading, listening, and 70% actually using all that information, speaking and writing. How can we do that? Start by creating opportunities to speak, find a language exchange partner, start a conversation class, or even talk to yourself. The more you speak, the more your brain is gonna adapt to the language. And you don't need a person to do this. What I used to do with German is to use my phone. And I create a chat to myself on WhatsApp, and I just send messages to myself. I record voice notes. For example, Hallo, wie geht es dir? Ich bin heute sehr müde, aber ich muss so viel arbeiten. And now I will just listen to it. Hallo, wie geht es dir? Ich bin heute sehr müde, aber ich muss viel arbeiten. And then I will focus on the grammar mistakes I'm making, or in some pronunciation issues that I want to work on. And I will modify it, and I will try to fix those things, record another voice note, and listen to it again. The idea is just to speak, to use what you've learned, embrace mistakes, and build confidence. No one wants to make mistakes while learning a language, let's be honest. And that sometimes holds us back from speaking fluently. But remember, making errors is a natural part of the learning process. And you have to embrace your mistakes to actually learn from them. This is actually an extra challenge for those who are perfectionists, just like me. I used to be more perfectionist than now with German, for example. And every time I made a mistake, I would feel terrible. I would feel like it was a failure. I didn't want to learn anymore because I wanted everything to be perfect. But I learned to be less perfectionist when it comes to learning a language and making mistakes. And that really helps a lot. You will get used to making mistakes and learn from them. Try to surround yourself with supportive individuals who actually understand the challenges you are facing. Maybe someone who has already learned a second language. They will completely understand what you're going through. They will not make fun of your mistakes, your accent, or anything like that, because they know what it feels like to learn a new language. If you have the chance, try to speak to a native speaker, even if it's just for a few minutes per day. And if possible, try to receive constructive feedback. It's all the way you can learn actually those things. Or just try to find the answer. Just Googling it. Why is saying I am doing good incorrect in English? And then you Google it. I'm doing good is not correct. Describe how you are doing requires an adverb, not an adjective. Verbs are qualified by adverbs, and the adverb of good is well. So you should say, I'm doing well, not I'm doing good. This is just an example, but you can use the amazing AI tools we have nowadays to keep learning and correct your mistakes. But if you can find a real teacher, that's awesome. Now, you are trying to become fluent. You have to create a speaking routine. Yet, while you're not fluent, consistency is key. And I always say this, but it is so true and very important. Consistency can be more important than the resources you use, the book you use, teachers you have, the time you spend learning a language. Consistency is key to improving your speaking skills. Set aside dedicated time each day to practice speaking. It can be as simple as talking to yourself or using the recording method I used earlier, or use any language exchange apps, which, by the way, are not sponsored. But remember, progress comes from consistent effort. By incorporating speaking practice into your daily routine, you will gradually gain fluency and the ability to express yourself more confidently. Now, in order to become fluent, you have to expand your vocabulary. Idioms. You have to use phrasal verbs and expressions that native speakers normally use. Sometimes we struggle finding the right words. How do you expand your vocabulary? Reading books, articles, watch YouTube videos. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and also check out my podcast. Take note of new words and phrases and try to incorporate them into your speaking practice. This will help you develop a more natural vocabulary. This is what I do with German. I'm reading a book in German and there are some words that I obviously don't understand. So I take these post-its that are transparent. You can find this on Amazon. It's super cheap, €2, I think. And I will put it here. This is an example of this book. It's not in German. And you can barely see it, but it's here. So I will just write down the meaning or write down what I think it means here. Then I will take this, put it on my notebook and practice with the new vocabulary. But you might find your own methods. Remember, true fluency comes from actively engaging in speaking practice, embracing mistakes, building confidence, and maintaining consistency. If you found these tips useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.